After your bankruptcy, you probably have the number one goal of reestablishing your credit. That's usually the first thing people start thinking about is, okay, what do I need to do to reestablish my credit? And one way that you can do that is getting added on as an authorized user. Now, let me paint a little picture here on how this works and what I mean. An authorized user is somebody who's added to a credit card that is already established by somebody else. So let me just give you an example of a past client of mine. He was in his early 20s and he had no credit. And it unfortunately takes credit to get credit, just like it takes money to make money, as the old saying goes. So he was having no luck getting credit. So I suggested to him, I said, go to your mom or your dad and see if they'll add you on as an authorized user to one of their existing credit cards. Now, here's our ideal situation. A credit card that's over 7 years old, that has a very low balance, preferably no balance, but very low, at least under 35% is ideal, under 50%. The lower is always going to be the better. So if it can be lower, have them go lower. And it's always been paid on time, at least on time for the past 7 years, because if they were late 8 years ago, it shouldn't be on their credit report anyway. Late payments are only reported for 7 years. So that's ideal. Low balance, open for 7 years or longer, and that they've paid on time for the past 7 years. His mom adds him onto a credit card that she's got. She's got a $10,000 available limit and a very low balance, like a $100 balance, and she's had it for over a decade. So we're in a very good position. Over 7 years old, low balance, and she's always paid on time. She adds him on, and we check the credit report 60 days later. Now, not all credit cards will add somebody on as an authorized user, so that's an important question to ask is, if I add this person on as an authorized user, will you report this on their credit report? Now, in this case, the answer was yes. So 60 days later, we pull his credit report. He went from having no credit at all to an 817 FICO score. Pretty powerful tool. So now what do you do with that? Because when he goes to buy a house, guess what? The underwriter's probably going to say, I want you removed from that, because that's not indicative of your actual credit. You're just an authorized user. It's your mom's credit history. So you need to use that as a springboard to go out and get credit in your name. Maybe go to get a department store card, get whatever you can to reestablish your credit. That's a good way to bring the scores up, but also, try traveling across the country, flying and renting a car and getting a hotel without having a credit card. If you use a debit card, I do a lot of traveling. They don't want to either they don't want to take your debit card anymore, or they want to pull your credit report if you use a debit card. It's become very problematic. So just for sheer convenience, maybe being added on as an authorized user to have some sort of availability if you were to absolutely need it, only for those necessities that may come up, is another good idea for authorized user accounts. But here's the flip side to that story. If something bad were to happen to that account, it can become completely negative. One of the classes I teach I teach a class at the Ohio State University, and I had a student from that class where her father added her on as an authorized user. He passed away and obviously stopped paying his credit card bill. It affected her credit score, and ultimately, guess how she found out about it? She had applied for a job, and now all of a sudden they've looked at her credit report, they got her authorization, and they turned her down for the job. So it can do the opposite. It can completely trash your credit as well. So we always want to make sure if we're being added on as an authorized user, that is being added on to something with positive history. That's imperative.